As a Christian, it is essential to critically evaluate the sources of information we consume, particularly when it comes to the mainstream media. Unfortunately, the mainstream media has repeatedly demonstrated a bias against Christian values and principles, which can lead to a distorted view of reality. There are several reasons why, as a Christian, it is challenging to trust the mainstream media. Firstly, the mainstream media often promotes a secular and humanistic worldview that is in conflict with Christian teachings. Many news outlets and journalists subscribe to a liberal and progressive ideology that emphasizes individualism, relativism, and moral subjectivism. This worldview is frequently at odds with the absolute moral standards and biblical principles that underpin Christian faith. As a result, Christians may find that their values and beliefs are marginalized, misrepresented, or even ridiculed by the mainstream media. Secondly, the mainstream media has a history of bias and selective reporting when it comes to issues of importance to Christians. For instance, the media often provides extensive coverage of controversies surrounding Christian leaders or organizations, while downplaying or ignoring stories that highlight the positive contributions of Christians to society. This selective reporting creates a skewed narrative that perpetuates negative stereotypes about Christians and reinforces a false narrative that Christianity is intolerant, bigoted, or oppressive. Thirdly, the mainstream media frequently relies on expert opinions and analysis from individuals who are hostile to Christian values. Many pundits and commentators who appear on mainstream news programs are openly critical of Christianity and seek to undermine its influence in public life. By amplifying these voices, the mainstream media creates a platform for anti-Christian sentiment to be disseminated to a wide audience, further eroding trust and credibility among Christians. Fourthly, the mainstream media often engages in a form of stealth evangelism where they promote a particular ideological or philosophical agenda under the guise of objective reporting. This can involve using loaded language, emotive appeals, and manipulated statistics to shape public opinion on issues like abortion, same-sex marriage, and climate change. By presenting a particular perspective as the only reasonable or compassionate view, the mainstream media seeks to influence public opinion and shape cultural norms in ways that are antagonistic to Christian values. Fifthly, the rise of fake news and disinformation in the mainstream media has further compromised its credibility among Christians. The proliferation of false or misleading reports, often designed to discredit or undermine Christian leaders or organizations, has created a culture of distrust and skepticism. Christians are increasingly recognizing that the mainstream media is not always a reliable source of information and that this reporting can be driven by ideological agendas rather than a commitment to factual accuracy. Finally, the mainstream media's handling of spiritual or theological issues is often superficial or even mocking. Christian doctrine and practices are frequently reduced to simplistic or caricatured representations, while the media ignores or downplays the complexities and nuances of Christian theology. This lack of understanding and respect for Christian beliefs and practices reinforces the perception that the mainstream media is hostile to Christianity and uninterested in presenting a balanced or accurate portrayal of Christian faith. In conclusion, as a Christian, it is becoming increasingly difficult to trust the mainstream media due to its bias, selective reporting, and ideological agendas. Promotion of secular and humanistic worldviews, the reliance on anti-Christian experts, and the use of manipulative tactics to shape public opinion all contribute to a lack of credibility and trust among Christians. Furthermore, the rise of fake news and disinformation, as well as the superficial or mocking treatment of spiritual issues, has created a toxic environment that undermines the integrity and reliability of the mainstream media. As Christians, it is essential to be discerning and critical consumers of information, seeking out alternative sources and evaluating the credibility and trustworthiness of the information we consume.